Hello, and welcome to GameVision. In our first edition of While We Wait, we are discussing Elden Ring. We are going to review some games and experiences that will satisfy your craving for the niche FromSoft left behind while we wait for the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Let's face it, we can only become Elden Lord, simp for Ranni, and fight Melania so many times before wanting more. Before we start, we are going to exclude FromSoft's catalog from our list. These include Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3, Bloodborne, Seriko, and Demon Souls. These are obvious choices to revisit or discover for the first time, and I highly recommend all of them. Now, on to our list, and in no particular order, and remaining as spoiler-free as possible since the story is a large component of what makes these titles so great. Number 1. Remnant from the Ashes, Remnant 2, Chronos Before the Ashes. These games offer a challenging and dynamic combat system with a variety of weapons and enemies. You can also play co-op mode with your friends and explore different worlds and dimensions. The story revolves around a group of survivors who use a mysterious tower called Ward 13 to travel across realities and fight against an ancient evil known as the Root. Along the way, they encounter different factions, cultures, and secrets that shape their destiny. I personally enjoyed these games because they added a new twist to the Soulsborne genre with the gunplay and the co-op mode. I also like the diversity of the environments and enemies, as well as the lore behind them. Number 2. The Surge 1 and 2. Sci-fi meets the Soulsborne genre. These games are set in a dystopian future where you have to fight against rogue machines and augmented humans. You can customize your character with different implements and gear, and use a limb targeting system to dismember your foes. The story follows Warren, who wakes up in a megacorporation facility after a catastrophic event that has turned most of the workers into crazed cyborgs. He has to find out what really happened, how to escape, while facing various enemies and bosses. I found these games to be quite challenging and satisfying, especially the limb targeting system, that allows you to loot specific parts from enemies. I also liked the sci-fi setting and the themes of transhumanism and corporate greed that were explored in the story. Number 3. Deadmau5, a dark and atmospheric indie game inspired by Dark Souls. You play as a lone mouse in a dangerous world full of predators and traps. You can recruit other mice to help you on your journey, or you can go solo if you prefer. The story is minimalistic and vague, but it involves finding out why the Mouse Kingdom has fallen into darkness and chaos, and what role you have in it. This game surprised me with its quality and depth, considering that this was made from a single developer. It captured the essence of Dark Souls with its unforgiving difficulty, clever level design, and subtle storytelling. It also has a unique art style and soundtrack that created a haunting atmosphere. Number 4. Blasphemous 1 and 2. A 2D action platformer that has a striking pixel art style and a dark and twisted religious setting. It also has a challenging and satisfying combat system, a large and non-linear world to explore, and a rich lore and story. The story is set in the deeply religious realm of Custodia, where the sorrowful miracle manifests itself to both the pious and the sinful in cruel and unusual ways. Every pain of the soul is tangible within everyone and everywhere, whether it be in the form of a blessing or a punishment. You play as the Pertinent One, a warrior who seeks to free the world from this terrible fate by reaching the origin of his anguish. This game impressed me with its gorgeous pixel art, graphics, and animations, as well as its brutal and visceral combat. It also has a fascinating and disturbing world that was inspired by the Spanish folklore and Catholic imagery. It was a game that made me feel both awe and horror at the same time. Number 5. Hollow Knight, Metrovanian Soulsborne. You play as a knight who ventures into a forgotten kingdom full of bugs and mysteries. You can upgrade your abilities, unlock new areas, and face challenging bosses. The story is told through environmental clues, NPC dialogues, lore tablets, and cutscenes. It involves discovering the history of the kingdom of Hollownest, which was once a prosperous civilization that fell into ruin after being infected by a mysterious force called the Infection. You have to find out what caused the infection, how to stop it, and what role you have in it. This game is one of my favorites of all time because it has everything I love in a game. A beautiful and immersive world, a fluid and responsive combat system, a captivating and mysterious story, and a ton of content and secrets to explore. Number 6. Ashen, the softer Soulsborne. This game has a low-poly art style and a more relaxing atmosphere than most Soulsborne games. You can team up with other players or AI companions to explore a beautiful and open world. The story is about a world that has been without light for ages, until a giant bird called the Ashen rekindles the sun. You play as one of the survivors who seeks to protect the Ashen from those who would harm it, while also finding a new home for yourself and your allies. This game is a nice change of pace from the usual Soulsborne games, because it has a more peaceful and serene vibe, as well as a more cooperative and friendly gameplay. It is a game that makes you feel like you're more part of the community rather than the lone wanderer.
Give me my hammer, so I might restore the beat of this silent heart. Touch the spark to the ritual stone. Bind your spirit to this place.
Number 7. Star Wars Jedi, Fallen Order, and Survivor. Soulsborne in space. These games let you experience the Star Wars universe as a Jedi who has to survive the Emperor's Purge. Use your lightsaber skills, force powers, and parkour abilities to overcome various obstacles and enemies. The story of Fallen Order follows Cal Kestis, a former Padawan who goes into hiding after Order 66, but is forced to reveal his identity and join a rebel group that seeks to restore the Jedi Order. The story of Jedi Survivor continues to follow Cal's escape from the Purge while still being hunted by the Emperor and other factions, as he has to find a way to survive and fight back, while also dealing with the dark side of the Force. These games are great for Star Wars fans who want to feel like a complete badass Jedi in a hostile galaxy. They have a fun and satisfying combat system that lets you use your lightsaber and force powers in very creative ways, as well as an engaging story that expands on the Star Wars lore. Number 8. Nioh 2. Pardon the pronunciations, it's been a while since I played this game. Nioh 2 is a prequel and sequel to Nioh that blends the Soulsborne combat with Japanese mythology and history. It also has a deep character customization system, a variety of weapons and skills, and a co-op mode. The story is set in Japan in the late 1500s and follows a half-yokai character named Hyde, who befriends an ambitious merchant named Tokuchiro and becomes involved in the rise and fall of the warlord Toyotomi Hideyoshi. The game also features a mysterious antagonist called Kashi Koji, who is linked to a powerful yokai named Okuteki Moru. This game is a blast for fans of Japanese culture and history, as well as some hardcore action RPGs. It is a fast-paced and intense combat system that requires skill and strategy, as well as an extensive combat system that lets you create your own character and build. It also has a rich and immersive world filled with yokai creatures and historical figures. Number 9, Mortal Shell. Again, another hardcore action RPG that tests your sanity and resilience. You play as an empty vessel who can inhabit the shells of fallen warriors, each with your own abilities and personalities. You have to master the combat system, which involves hardening your body to block attacks, parry enemies, and using these powerful weapons. The story is set in a shattered world that is ruled by a dark deity called the Unchained. You have to find and awaken the secret glands of the Unchained while facing various threats and horrors. This game is not for the faint of heart because it is very challenging and very unforgiving. It has a unique mechanic of switching between different shells that have different strengths and weaknesses, as well as different memories and dialogues. It has a dark and gloomy world that is full of grotesque enemies and bosses. Number 10, and you should have seen this one coming by now, unless you've been living under a rock, but we have Dark Pinocchio 2, Lies of P. A dark fantasy game inspired by Pinocchio's story. You play as a puppet who wants to become a human in a cruel world full of lies and deception. You have to make choices that affect your morality, appearance, and relationships. The game is set in a dark Belle Epoque city called Crop, where a mysterious plague has turned most of the population into violent puppets. The player controls Pinocchio, here a puppet mechanoid simply known as P, as he sets off to find his creator, Mr. Geppetto, fighting through countless hostile puppets to do so. Along the way, he will encounter various characters from the original story, such as Jiminy Cricket and Blue Fairy, as well as some new ones too, including a human girl who helps him on his journey. The game features a branching storyline that changes depending on the player's choices and actions, as well as a dynamic combat system that allows P to use different weapons and abilities. The game also explores themes of identity, morality, and humanity in a grim and twisted world. It is a stunning and realistic graphics art style that contrasts with the grotesque and surreal elements of the world. It also has a complex and emotional story that was inspired by the classic novel, but with a darker and more mature tone. That's our list of games that scratch that Soulsborne itch that Elden Ring left us with. Let us know what you think of our list in the comments below. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, peace.